Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Excellencies on the dais, my colleagues from the industry, other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great privilege for us as the Tata Group and Tata Steel to be associated with the state of Odisha, and this association, as was just mentioned, goes back to over 100 years, even before the state of Odisha as it exists today was there. With significant investments by multiple Tata companies, including Tata Steel, Tata Power, TCS, Tata Consumer Products, Indian Hotels, and many others, the Tata Group employs over 50,000 people already in the state of Odisha directly, and another 50,000 people indirectly. The Tata Group of companies, and more specifically Tata Steel, has invested over 75,000 crores in the last 5 years, most of it since the last summit that we had, and we will continue to invest to grow in the state of Odisha for multiple reasons. We've seen that, as many of my colleagues from the industry have mentioned, that this is one of the easiest and most business-friendly states to operate in. It has a political stability, it has a business orientation, it has got very agile decision-making, an empowered group of bureaucrats, and a lot that one dreams for in many other states. Over the last few years, Tata Steel has not just built the Kalinga steel plant, which it continues to expand, but has also invested in acquiring the erstwhile Bhushan steel plant, as well as an Nilachal Ispat more recently. Today, we are already producing about 9 million tons of steel in Odisha, which makes us the largest steel producer in Odisha, and we plan to double this over the next few years as we expand in all our locations that we have in Odisha. We as a group and as Tata Steel have also continued to work with the communities in the state of Odisha in multiple areas, whether it's health, whether it's education, and of course, whether it's sports, and more specifically in the field of hockey. Again, all this has been possible because of the support that we've received from the Honorable Chief Minister and the government of Odisha over the years. It is no surprise to us that Odisha is one of the fastest industrializing states in India, with an industry growth rate higher than the national industrial growth rate, and an industry share of the state GDP which is higher than the national share of industry in the GDP of the country. Odisha has also been successful in creating an investment climate that is attracting investments in multiple sectors and from multiple companies from India and overseas. Odisha has successfully demonstrated how you can convert the wealth which lies below the ground to jobs, economic development, and prosperity above the ground. Odisha accounts for 1/4 of the steel capacity of the country today, and the share is expected to increase to 1/3 of the steel capacity during this decade. This is a great opportunity for the state of Odisha, because the state of Odisha has a potential during this decade to produce as much steel as what India is producing today. And the state of Odisha is blessed with a coastline in addition to mineral wealth. Today, there are countries in the world which import iron ore and export steel, and that's about 150 million tons of steel exports going from countries which import iron ore. Odisha alone has a potential to convert that iron ore into steel and occupy the space that can be vacated by these countries. As the steel industry in general and Tata Steel in particular plan these expansions, a few areas where I think the government needs to focus on. I know we've got a lot of help in these areas, but obviously as we plan our expansion, we want the government also to keep pace with our plans. And I think one area, as was mentioned by Mr. Sajjan Jindal earlier, is infrastructure, because steel, any steel plant means movement of 3 to 4 times the material that you're producing, and that means the rail infrastructure, the port infrastructure, the road infrastructure, all that needs to be upgraded much more than it is today to keep up with the pace of steel investments that's happening. Secondly, the provision of adequate power, and more importantly, the infrastructure to support that. Raw material security through sustainable policies supporting sustainable mining, facilitation of installing of slurry pipelines, because that helps in moving the raw materials that's required to the steel plants, and also obviously making sure, as we've always had, the support that is required to move fast on these investments. Once again, a great privilege for us as a group, for us as Tata Steel, to be associated with the state of Odisha, and I wish this investment summit all the very best. I'm sure if the past is any indication to go by, the future looks bright. Thank you very much.